Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Audra Stinson, and I'm your instructor for the course. Welcome to Developmental Psychology. I am thrilled and honored to have you here, and I look forward to spending these next 14 weeks with you. So, what exactly is developmental psychology? Simply put, developmental psychology is the study of how humans change across the lifespan. The lifespan is considered from conception to death. So for this course, we are going to look at the different stages of lifespan development, including prenatal, infancy and toddlerhood, early childhood, middle and late childhood, adolescence, emerging adulthood and young adulthood, middle adulthood, and late adulthood. So the course is going to be organized according to the lifespan stages of development. And we're going to hone in on each of the lifespan stages, but we're also going to look at the different theories of development. So these theories include the psychoanalytic ones, such as those of Sigmund Freud, psychosocial, such as that of Erik Erikson, the behavioral theories, such as those of Skinner, Pavlov, and Watson, the ecological systems theory of Bronfenbrenner, cognitive theories of Piaget and Kohlberg, social learning theory of Albert Bandura, and some of the attachment theories of Bowlby and Ainsworth. So we're going to start with Erikson's psychosocial theory, and we're going to skip over Freud's theory. He had a theory called the psychosexual theory of development, and this was a series of stages, and while there are some good points that he made in this theory, there are also some that have since been debunked, such as the Oedipus complex and the Electra complex. So we're really not going to focus on Freud's theory, but we are going to take a look first at Erikson's psychosocial theory, because we're going to really incorporate this more heavily than some of the other theories. And in fact, Erikson's theory spans the entire lifespan, while some of the other theories just include like from childhood to young adulthood. So Erikson's theory, though, like I said, it does encompass the entire lifespan from birth to death. And he identified 8 stages of psychosocial development. So when we're talking about psychosocial development, we're talking about the interaction really of a person's DNA, their biology, interacting with the environment. And the environment includes the people in that environment, parents, teachers, peers, all that kind of stuff. So he believed that individuals go through certain distinct stages of psychosocial development. And in each of these stages, there is a task. And for instance, in the first stage is trust versus mistrust. The goal here is to develop a sense of trust. And we help a baby develop trust by being responsive to his or her needs, picking them up when they cry, giving them that sense of love and belongingness. Because if we don't do that, and if we don't respond to their needs, then they are likely to develop a sense of mistrust. And it's really important to recognize that the experiences in each of these stages will affect an individual's ability to successfully navigate through any subsequent stage. So for instance, if a baby develops a sense of mistrust instead of trust, they're going to have difficulty navigating through that next stage and even the subsequent stages all the way up through adulthood. So again, we have trust versus mistrust, then autonomy versus shame and doubt. Then next is initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority, identity versus confusion, which is actually role confusion, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnation, integrity versus despair. I'm not going to go over all of these right now because we are going to talk about each stage separately as we go throughout this course. Erikson's stages align with the different stages of lifespan development. So I've created a little table right there so you can see how each one matches up with a specific stage of lifespan development. And I've really just provided this to try to organize and help keep things structured for y'all. But we're going to talk about each of the lifespan stages and each of Erikson's stages throughout the course. So then we have the behavioral theories, also sometimes referred to as theories of learning. We have Skinner's theory of operant conditioning, and most of y'all have heard of some of the operant conditioning techniques, including positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and punishment. So children are shaped through one of these three methods, or actually all of those three methods of operant conditioning. So think about your own behaviors and how your behaviors are shaped through punishment, negative reinforcement, and positive reinforcement. So then next we have Pavlov's theory of classical conditioning. And basically this is just really talks about how just some of those behaviors and even those emotions and internal sensations are learned automatically by association. For example, even taste aversion is learned through association. I don't know if y'all have ever gotten sick shortly after you've eaten something. You could have caught a virus, but then you associate that food with being sick. And so every time you think of that food, you feel nauseous. So that's learned through classical conditioning. Even our fears, such as our fear of the dark, fear of dogs or whatever, is learned through classical conditioning. John B. Watson, I just included him here just because he was instrumental in some of the theories of learning through classical conditioning. He was the one who did the famous Baby Albert experiment. And next we have social learning theory. This was really highlighted by Albert Bandura's Bobo doll experiment. And basically what he found is that children learn certain behaviors through observation. So we learn how to behave or how to act by observing somebody else acting in that manner. For instance, we might learn how to be respectful simply by observing our parents being respectful towards others. We might also learn how to be aggressive by watching others be aggressive. And that could even be watching it on TV or watching parents or peers become aggressive. So just different behaviors and even personality is shaped by observation. And next we have Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory. And really what this theory did, what was different than other ones, was it really took into account all the different systems in society, starting with the family, the schools, culture, religion, and government, and really looked at the way that those systems interacted with the individual to affect development. Attachment theory recognizes the importance of secure attachments in healthy development. So just how do we create secure attachments? Well, those are created early in life, even during that first year, and especially during the first year. simply by responding consistently to the baby's needs, picking the baby up when he or she cries, communicating with the baby, nurturing the baby, loving on the baby, skin to skin contact, breastfeeding. I mean, there's different ways we can create secure attachment, but there's also ways that parents and caregivers, even sometimes unintentionally, create avoidant attachments, ambivalent attachments, disorganized attachments, any kind of insecure attachment that can increase the risk for mental illness and other struggles throughout the lifespan. Then we have cognitive theories, and one of those is Jean Piaget's stages of cognitive development. He recognized that children go through different stages of cognitive development, and many of these stages depend on the interaction with their environment. Some of the earliest stages depend on play. This is why play is so important in helping children develop cognitively. So recognize and be familiar with each of the stages of cognitive development. Then we have Kohlberg's theory of moral development. And so he believed that children develop morally through different stages. All right, now we're just going to end the first week of developmental psychology with a look at nature, nurture, and neuroscience. It used to be nature versus nurture, but now we know it's nature and nurture. Both play a significant role in development, and in fact, nature and nurture influence one another to impact that role in development. So now we know it's not one or the other, but it is both nature and nurture. So this is really important to recognize. And we also recognize the role of neuroscience in all of this. So one of the things that it's really important when we look at lifespan development and developmental psychology is to understand what neuroplasticity means. Neuroplasticity is just really the way that the brain can change through different experiences. And epigenetics is the study of the way the environment influences our genes. So this is pretty phenomenal, and this is just something we've recognized like in the last 20 years, is the role that our environment plays on not necessarily changing our genes, but changing the expression of our genes. And there's different epigenetic factors in the environment, such as the toxins. I mean, there's a lot of chemicals that can change the expression of our genes, aging, the food we eat, all of this, and even and especially trauma, stress, abuse in childhood. All these environmental factors can alter the expression of the genes. And this can increase the risk for both psychological disorders as well as physical disorders. And again, we're going to talk more about this throughout the course, and especially during this first week, there's some videos in the course material section of the module, and also some reading. So make sure that you go over all of those and really take this all in. I know this is a lot of information in the first week, but I really wanted to provide you with an overview of the course and a little bit of structure.